my first question to the panel, and maybe I can ask you, Rein. Do Norwegian fellows and researchers make good enough use of EMBL?
No, not at all. Why are we doing this anyway? Of course, there's a reason. No, it's always been too low. And I suppose there may even have been times there were no one at one of the EMBL stations. But no, we don't. And we... did you say why?
Yeah. What is it due to? Is it
well, if
knowledge?
if there was only one reason,
yeah.
and it was well known, then of course we wouldn't have had this problem, because there is no quick fix, because I think there are several reasons. One is I think maybe we can discuss that later today. There's generally low mobility among the young people in Norway. We see this recruiting to the universities. Even Oslo and Trondheim University tend to recruit mostly from their local regions. In the beginning, the EMBL did different things than was common in Norway, but I think that's changing. It has changed already, so that is not a particular reason. A third thing that I think is important, there are several, is that seniors, as you said, and mentors tend to influence where their young ones go. And that's a positive feedback loop. So so there were lots of people going to the Americas, US, and many went after in several rounds. So I think that's part of it as well. And of course, there's not enough information and knowledge about EMBL in Norway.
No. So too bad. So Carina and Øyvind, you were just there. Could you share with us some your experiences from working there?
Yeah, it was really intense, I have to say, and tough, but at the same time extremely inspiring. I think for me the major thing was being immersed in this culture of basic biology, and also as Ewan mentioned, the interdisciplinarity is really, I'm a developmental biologist, but I was involved with doing computational biology, bioinformatics, even theory at the end of my PhD. So I feel like my horizons really expanded. And there's just like an enthusiasm there, which is really, I don't know, it's an incredible, it's a privilege to work there, and you really notice when you leave that this, you don't have this everywhere. So I think it's a really special environment, and, all you have to do is, it's not that you have to be good enough to go there, it's that you have to be enthusiastic enough, because that's what really they value there, that you have the willingness to learn and to explore, and this is really fun.
Yeah, and also you have a very big network there. I know that we have internet and you can share data very efficiently, but if you are stuck in a problem or a challenge, then most likely you have the expert sitting in a few offices next to you. And to get this network and to learn how to work from the people that develop the new theories, it's also something that's extremely powerful when you are actually at EMBL. And something that's difficult to get if you are just accessing the databases and using the facilities, because you get the personal connection to people as well. And as Carina said, it's very intense and you are really challenging yourself, but you come out of it at a very different state that compared to when you came in.
And Rein, you were there in the 90s, so I believe you also have built a network from that time.
That's been tremendously important. By the way, could you mute the slide, please? It's extremely strong. And so my career after EMBL has been enormously influenced by the network I was able to build there. So that you said, if you go back 10 years or 20 years later, you won't see anyone. So I experienced precisely that. In the end, it was only the cleaning lady in the section I used to work in who was still there, and the trustee as well, who has been dean of PhD and so on. But then later on, this has spurred participation in new projects, and I think even it influenced why I serve on the Elixir board and stuff like that. It's been fun, interesting, and very valuable.
As we know, the research and development going on at EMBL, it's really a common good for European research and innovation. So should we then say, is it enough that Norway and Norwegian researchers, that we use EMBL and other European infrastructures? Should we be happy with that, content with that? Do you think? What do you think, Trygve?
Well, I think that, I mean, now we have seen the diversity of EMBL, and we have learned about this new program. And it was in particular when we saw this new program, Molecules to Ecosystems, we were directly asked for recommendation, more or less, by the Research Council, is this of interest, from Digital Life Norway side. And it truly was. It was very well aligned with what we are doing here. And yeah, the infrastructures and availability, as you mentioned here, is of course one big thing of this. But I think that there are programs, postdoc programs, PhD programs. There is much more in it than I was aware of. So there is more than the infrastructure.
Could we also, to you also, could we also think about other types of interactions that could be developed? Are they there, you know, between infrastructures, short-term visits, strategic collaborations? Could you say more about?
I think all of those things are valid and worth doing, and we are very flexible at EMBL about how we set these things up. What I feel happens is somehow people don't realise. So just looking at some of these things, there we go. Some of these things, people don't realise the possibilities that they have. One is their career possibilities, and they think somehow it's going to be too hard to get in, yeah, or the competitions, you know, somehow you will have to studied in Germany to be a successful postdoc. It's just absolutely not the case at all. So we need to diffuse those perceptions about applying. But the second thing is coming and going. Sorry, my voice loud. The second thing is around the experimental services. I'm really, really keen for the cellular biologists to really understand the opportunity that they have. Do you want to fix something?
Yeah. So while he's getting batteried up, there are training courses, advanced courses, fantastic. Not all of them in these 6 places, but other places as well, and conferences. And those are accessible and very popular and extremely good.
There we go.
For instance,
But and I do actually wonder whether we shouldn't have quite an explicit, like almost, you know, the Society for Cellular Biology in Norway. I don't know where that is. Or something like that.
We have a biochemical society.
Biochemical, you know, the most number of people who are obsessed with cells in a room, and find an opportunity because I think a lot of people just sort of, you know, they probably assume that they should go to Stockholm or Oslo for this thing, and they don't realize they can just put their hand up and also go to Heidelberg. That would be my instinct. I might be wrong.
Also about putting your hand up, something that's, I think, even more under-communicated than the PhD and the postdoc positions is that it's also possible to do a master or even a bachelor project in the EMBL labs. For instance, in my lab, in the Jan Ellenberg lab, they will never announce these positions, but if you are motivated and you take contact with the lab that you're interested in, EMBL has always, it's so flexible that it can facilitate these things. And I never heard rumors of a master student applying in our lab, even.
But it's information. You need to know and learn early.
Yeah, and these positions will not be announced. You have to raise your hand up, like with many things for EMBL.
So when we were master students, this is a long time ago, we organized our own excursion and we chose Germany and we went for a week through Germany, and one of the places we stopped was Heidelberg. This is 2 years before Norway became member, and I still remember Kai Simmons, one of the leaders there, said, go home to Norway and say that Norway must join. And I think some of us were influenced by that and actually had that in mind when we chose where to go later on. Knock on the door.
Yeah, take initiative. That's the home message. But this month, Norway's new long-term plan for research and higher education were published. And some of the priorities in that plan was health, life sciences, enabling technologies, and including fundamental research. And the plan also mentioned that fundamental research within marine, agriculture, and food sectors need to be strengthened. And also Norway supports the EU's 5 missions, as it was. So to you, would Norwegian life sciences benefit from collaborating with EMBL and the new program in areas where we are strong, as it were, within marine sciences, within health? Would we, thinking of the plan, the priorities that Norway has now, would it strengthen us to work more closely and with the ambitious new program?
Yes,
yeah.
The answer I think is yes, of course it is. And it is also this international perspective on this. And I think you see now with in this plan that you mentioned, it's if you go to the last part of it, it's very updated. It seems like it was written 2 weeks ago, because it also takes the crisis that we are in right now into consideration. So more sharing when it comes to infrastructure will be more and more important. Biotechnology is more and more relying on heavy infrastructure, which means that the costs are not only for personal costs, but the running costs are increasing incredibly. This is more and more discussed. So sharing of infrastructures, not only nationally but also internationally, I think will be very important. And this has to be coordinated.
Yeah. And then, Trygve, what role can Digital Life Norway play towards EMBL, would you say?
Well, I mean, we are a national center, and we represent many scientists. Some of them are here, and even more are out there. And we also represent more or less the most important institutions and universities and institutions in Norway. You mentioned Earth Biogenome Project as an example. There is a Norwegian node that was recently started. And this initiative was taken more or less from DLN, and we were asked by the Research Council, can you take a coordinating role in this? Because if we are going to support this, it has to be a national initiative. It has to be collecting all interested, relevant players, so we make it into a truly national initiative. And this had to happen very fast, and this was done. It was a signed letter of agreement among all those institutions. So this is one example where DLN really can play a role. And I was thinking that it could also be similar here. We discussed this also back in the board, that, yeah, maybe we could take a role because we have common mutual interests, as you mentioned, with respect to training of scientists, transdisciplinarity, and of course the life science biotechnology in common. So for sure we could play a role in this.
Yeah. So I don't know about the time now. We should probably round up, but maybe you would like to...
Maybe could just a brief comment to that.
Yeah. Please.
For high energy physics at CERN in Switzerland, there is now a Norwegian, I guess it's a virtual center, and there's a clear address and a home base for Norwegian participation in the CERN laboratory. And I think one of the handicaps we have, there is no similar body or organization or anything in Norway for the EMBL system, so maybe that's precisely what could be done here.
And if you want to, we should, I didn't say this, but Øyvind and Rein and myself and Carina are doing a workshop tomorrow morning. So if you want to hear more about this, you get to see us again tomorrow if you want to. Come, ask anything.
Yeah.
And prepare for that. Have questions and bring them.
Yeah. So good, Ewan, you stole my last point there.
Oh, sorry.
So
really
for those who are more interested, yes, please come to the workshop tomorrow. I don't know whether you would like to say something about it, but...
I mean, you can also approach us in person at any time if it's easier just to speak one-on-one. If you feel like it's intimidating to apply to a place like EMBL, then I was terrified, so please talk to me. Also outside the workshop. So.
Good. But I think we end this part on EMBL then. So thank you to the panel.